Hi, Micah. Thank you for being a speaker at the conference. We really enjoyed. There's a couple of questions we wanted to extend your speech, your presence at this conference at NCC. The first question I have is to ask about what's happening in Bay Area in the States. So you're based in San Francisco and running a Web3 company right now. Could you share what's happening there in San Francisco broadly in the States, and what should Japanese audience here should learn from it?
Yes, so I live in San Francisco right now, as you mentioned, and I think the energy is really picking up. So during COVID, a lot of people actually left San Francisco because it's a big city, and so people went to Miami or they went to Texas and they traveled all over, but really they're starting to flock back to the Bay Area. So we're seeing all kinds of new founders, both in Web3 and both traditional founders. Venture capitalists are still there in San Francisco, and a lot of new ideas and energy is coming up. And then more greater within the United States, there's all kinds of events. So we just finished Consensus in Austin. We had VCon in Minneapolis. All of these big cities are starting to host different events. A lot of them are crypto related. So there's a lot of energy. So every month there could be anywhere between 2 to 3 different conferences or big events, and people are traveling and they're excited to get to know one another and be in the space and exploring. So in San Francisco in particular, within the Web3 community, I'm starting to see a lot of X to earn, right? So you hear things like work to earn, play to earn for video games and everything, but you're starting to see other things like walk to earn, or people will make jokes like work to earn, like actually just having a job. Even eat to earn is something that is developing in San Francisco as well. So a lot of new ideas, a lot of people working together, and a lot of energy in the space.
I mean, you came here last night, so it's only been about 24 hours.
Yes.
But any insight for people here in Japan compared to what's happening, learning from things that you see in San Francisco?
Yeah, I think it's really important for people in Japan to kind of either make the effort to attend online conventions, because a lot of these events are being streamed online, or just even trying to extend within Discord channels or anything to try to expand. Because I think all of us, regardless of where we live geographically, we're in a bubble, right? And so to kind of get the best of what especially Web3 has to offer, Web3 is global, right? And so being able to, whether it's traveling, if you can't travel, then attending online or doing everything you can to meet the people. I think right now we're kind of in the space where it's not even just company-based or technology-based, it's really people-based. So it's people that are building these companies and technologies. So the more you can meet people, get to know them, and learn from them, I think people are going to be able to expand greatly. And especially in Japan, because it's harder to travel right now, utilizing the online spaces and so on is going to be pretty important.
But it will be probably a little challenging for people here, because all the contents like Discord and all the conference contents are in English.
Yes.
Is there any advice or tips for people here who don't very read English to kind of get their feet into Web3 world?
Yes, I think, I don't think anyone will ever regret trying to learn English and so on. I think it'll only be beneficial. So, unfortunately, the world is really just English-based, right? But in terms of other things you can do, there's plenty of Japanese communities that are actually in Web3 and other entrepreneurial spaces. So I know Wagumi DAO is a Japan-based, Japanese-based DAO. There's also Henkaku DAO, which is like a community that's being built right now too. And so even in the Bay Area, there's a big community of Japanese entrepreneurs, right? So I think just finding the right people and just getting introduced to the ecosystem. But as you grow, and if you really want to be truly international, I think having a base or friends that have a base of English that can help you translate or interpret is going to be pretty important. It's not impossible not to, of course. But yeah, it's just kind of the extent of how far and big you want to grow.
What do you say the top 3 topics that's been shared in San Francisco in the last, half a year?
I think, especially in the last half year, like utility-based NFTs are becoming really large. I think people can't get away with creating NFTs to just make money and kind of drop it anymore. We've seen too many of that kind of crash and burn, or their ships sink of that. So for people to actually create projects that are going to be worth something. So that's one big category. Another one, of course, metaverse is becoming a big thing. So you're seeing not only AR, VR companies, but companies that are changing the way that we live and, leveraging how we live online as part of that. So metaverse is another big one. And as a third topic, maybe kind of cross-chain interoperability. So I think ETH, all of these different chains, Solana, ETH, they can collaborate, right? So it's building the technologies that can cross them. Of course, there's Solana Maxis and all of these places, but I think for the entire ecosystem to work well, we need just kind of cross-chain infrastructure to be built.
I want to ask about some skill set topics. You studied computer science and symbolic systems, and you are engineer at Microsoft, but you transitioned into this Web3 world. How was that transition? Was it any specific skill set that you had to add in order for you to get into the Web3 world?
Yeah, I think I had it a little easier because I come from a technical background. So for me to, and also like a cybersecurity background. So for me to learn how blockchain works or how all of these dApps work, it was a little bit easier because I speak to my friends now and I do see how difficult it can be, especially if they're not even right now too much in the Web2 space. Maybe they're not spending too much time online. So it's quite difficult. For me, it was mostly just learning a new coding language. Like I already coded in Python and C++ and all of these languages, so it's just about, okay, how does Solidity work? And I don't do too much coding myself anymore because I'm running my company, but there is some like baseline work that you do have to put in the time to build at least a technical skill set. But I think within Web3, you can have different categories. Like DeFi, you might need to have actually quite a base of understanding of financial markets. But in NFTs, you could be an artist and not necessarily know what's happening under the hood and still, really thrive in Web3. So depending on your skill set, I think you can pick a path that is open and free to you for you to build something.
For people like me, don't have any, programming, computer science background. What kind of skill set can I add to get into this Web3 world?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think it depends what you want to do. I mean, if you want to create your own NFT collection, you could kind of learn like online art and find these different platforms that are either no code or you can even mint on OpenSea, right? They make it quite easy to enter the space, and then from there you can dive in deeper and become a specialist. If you want to create a company or create a dApp within the company that lets you, have a platform or have a marketplace, there are tools for that too. And I think there's a lot of different companies popping up for DAO tooling. If you want to start a DAO about maybe you like to play hockey, so you want to create a DAO hockey group. There's all kinds of tooling that is being built and improved on. We're still, of course, very early, but there's a lot of resources out there. So I think it's just finding the place online, where to search, who to talk to, that sort of thing.
For Web3 world, you're running a company, and assuming this Web3 economy would be is sustainable and will be here for a long time. What kind of capabilities and skill set you want to add to be competitive in the long term?
Yeah, I think I would ideally love to have a bigger vision or being able to kind of guess what's going to happen in the future. I think we all want to be, psychic and know what's going to happen 10 years from now, but I need to improve upon where technology can be. I think it's very easy to be stuck in the current, like what issue is my company having or what next feature do we need to have. But for my company to succeed, I need to be able to think ahead 3 to 5 years from now and understand, okay, what is the technology going to be like? What's possible? What way is the tide changing? And how can we ride that so that we're there at the right time to kind of pick up new users when the next wave comes? And so it's a lot about not just guesswork, but kind of strategic analysis of the space and the tech, and I need to actually put some time into developing that skill because it's not something that comes naturally to most of us, I think.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.